On today's episode of Andy Ari On3, we talk Matt Rhule. Obviously, with Penn State open, Penn State grad Matt Rhule is a potential candidate, but Penn State grad Matt Rhule also happens to be Nebraska head coach Matt Rhule. That's a pretty big job, too. We examine his response to a question about the Penn State job, what it means. And of course, it's a Megaboard Wednesday, so we will take the temperature of the message boards as that job is open and Matt Rhule continues to coach the Cornhuskers. We're also going to talk to USF coach Alex Golesh. His team is having a great year. They've already got a win against Florida, and now they are into the American Conference play. There's a big game against Memphis coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend. They got Florida Atlantic this weekend. The winner of the American probably going to the playoff. That might be the Bulls. You'll hear from Alex Golesh and how he got that program going. Also, is Kalen DeBoer hitting his stride at Alabama? And is Brent Venables in danger of being in danger at Oklahoma after a loss to Texas? We'll talk about it all on Andy Ari On3, presented by BetMGM. We are presented by BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines and totals all season long. If you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB. That's CFB as in college football, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how that works. 1, download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code CFB. 2, deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. 3, you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code CFB when you sign up. And if you've already signed up, got some goodies for you this week too. On Friday, October 17th and Saturday, October 18th, we have a college football parlay boost token and a college football odds boost token. So the parlay boost token, get in the game, you level up your next parlay by using that parlay boost token to boost your potential payout from a winning college football parlay. Or if you want to go even simpler, the odds boost token, zero in every snap and activate your odds boost token on any college football bet, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. So if you've already signed up for BetMGM, got those for you on Friday and Saturday. If you have not signed up yet, download that app. Use the code CFB to sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S., call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. Ari will be along shortly as we examine the boards on a Megaboard Wednesday. It's a big day. There's a lot going on. There's some juicy topics on the boards. One of the juicier topics, and it crosses multiple sites because you've got Blue White Illustrated covering Penn State, you've got Husker Online covering Nebraska, is of course what happens next at Penn State. Now, if you want to know what just happened at Penn State, there's a great story from our Chris Lowe and Pete Nakos at On3 inside Penn State's decision to fire James Franklin a year after they went to the college football playoff semifinal. It is a very enlightening story. You will understand better why this decision was made, when it was, and why Penn State was willing to pay that big of a buyout. And of course, the next logical question is who replaces James Franklin at Penn State? The most obvious name is Matt Rhule. There are a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, Matt Rhule is a Penn State grad, former Penn State linebacker, walk-on under Joe Paterno. Also, Pat Kraft, current AD at Penn State, was Matt Rhule's boss at Temple. He was the AD at Temple when Matt Rhule was the head coach at Temple. They're very good friends. They get along really well. That, of course, has created a natural connection. And, everybody's got an opinion on it. Matt Rhule was asked his opinion on it. So Ari and I went into the boards. We went into the Red Sea Scrolls from Husker Online, found a very interesting thread, and then we also examined Matt Rhule's response to that question about Penn State. And I think it's one of the more interesting responses you'll hear from a coach in this situation. You're going to see more coaches that find themselves in this situation as the year goes on. You're probably not going to see an answer like Matt Rhule's because usually it's a little more robotic. But check it out. Here's me and Ari talking Matt Rhule and Penn State speculation. All right, it is a Megaboard Wednesday, and of course, Husker Online's board has been buzzing ever since Penn State fired James Franklin because naturally, the assumption is that Matt Rhule will be a candidate. Matt Rhule is a former Penn State linebacker, walked on under Joe Paterno, also worked with Penn State AD Pat Kraft at Temple when Pat Kraft was the Temple AD and Matt Rhule was the head coach there. So it's a natural fit. It's a natural connection. Everybody's making that connection. So
literally everybody.
Yeah. On the Husker Online board, they noticed, though, that earlier this week, a Dylan Raiola Instagram story. Raiola just posted this, is what Metalhead88 posted on the Husker Online message board. And it is an Instagram story of Matt Rhule hugging Dylan Raiola. And it says Nebraska head ball coach. And it's got a lock. Lock.
Juicy.
A lock.
Yeah,
well,
there's so much to unpack here. It's
yes.
Insane.
It is unbelievable. And of course, Matt Rhule got asked about it. So we were going to play you that, but you know, we've had some issues where the program we use to download YouTube clips has been converting them randomly into other languages, and it's never the same language. So I'm not even sure what language this is. I think it's Japanese, but here's Matt Rhule talking about the Penn State job.
कोच फ्रैंकलिन को जाते देखना वाकई दुखद है। जब आप सोचते हैं कि उन्होंने मेरे इल्मा मैटर के लिए क्या किया, तो आप जानते हैं, कार्यक्रम संकट में था, है ना? मेरा मतलब है, खिलाड़ियों।
The more I think, maybe that's not Japanese. Maybe that's a Southeast Asian language. I'm really not sure.
I think that was specifically for our listener in Singapore.
Somebody's going to know. So you tell us what language that is. But here is the actual Matt Rhule clip, because it's a little bit long, but it's a fascinating answer. And it's probably a little bit different kind of answer than you've heard from coaches in this situation before.
Because it's not a boilerplate response.
No. This is not the typical response. So here's what Matt Rhule said when asked about the Penn State job.
Obviously, your alma mater fired its coach Sunday, and so your name logically becomes the candidate for that role. What would you like to say about not only Coach Franklin, but the opening there and your relationship to the AD there?
Yeah, well, I love Penn State. Met my wife there. It's my alma mater. Fan since I was born. I think probably had a Penn State shirt when I was born. I love Pat Kraft. And really sad to see Coach Franklin go. You know, when you think about what he did for my alma mater, you know the program was in peril, right? I mean, you know, the players, if people remember, like the historic sanctions, you could transfer out, you could do whatever you want. Bill O'Brien comes in, stabilizes it for 2 years. James takes over a program in disarray and gives stability, excellence, and to see videos of people like yelling at his kids, and like I just don't understand why in our country, like well, now, like coaches are villains. Like, you know how hard I worked in Carolina, and the things that were said to me, or you know how hard I work here, and some of the things that are said, our coaches work here, how hard Sat worked last year. So I'm just really sad about that part of it. And people say, well, you make a lot of money. Making a lot of money doesn't make your kids feel good when they're hearing that. Make a lot of money. It's nice to make a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but still people. So I really respect James Franklin. Troy and I are in unbelievable relationship too. And Troy and I are in constant communication about this program and where we're headed. I came here for two reasons. I love the community here and wanted to live here, and I love it here. And I wanted to rebuild Nebraska football. And, Troy and I understand the steps that you need to take to make us Big Ten champions and national champions. This place is elite. And I want to be a great father, and I want to be a great college football coach. And so, I'm not going to talk a lot about job openings when they come. this is maybe it's been a while here, but this is what happens when you win. I've dealt with it. We've won at Temple, and I dealt with it all the time. I've dealt with Baylor. I'm not going to talk about those things ever. I'm not going to talk about my contract here. I'm going to talk about the team. But yeah, I absolutely love it here, and I want us to continue to take the steps needed for us to turn this thing into a beast. And players all across the country want to come here. We have the best facilities. We have elite fans, and I'm just looking at the future. So, but again, I love that place. I love Pat. I love James Franklin. Sad that came to an end. I wish him the absolute best, but I'm really happy here and excited to get going this week on Minnesota.
So, Ari, the boilerplate answer is I'm not thinking about other jobs. I'm the coach here, blah, 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 blah. And you don't even acknowledge it. He acknowledged exactly what he feels about Penn State, what everybody knows he feels about Penn State, but also explained that he's happy at Nebraska. He goes on later to talk about his wife's got a business there. He's worried about club volleyball for his daughters. And he also said his wife decides where they live. All of that, if we boil it all down, none of it is no. None of it is I'm definitely staying here. But Andy, I don't think it's a slam dunk that if Penn State wants Matt Rhule, he's going to Penn State.
I'm sitting in Andy's lovely office right now, and you guys can't see what I see, but I'm going to tell you what I see. I see this beautiful blown up Sports Illustrated cover. That's a piece of art in his office. And we know that Sports Illustrated, the magazine that you used to work for, doesn't really exist anymore. But if Sports Illustrated, the magazine, made a huge comeback and figured out a way to, be relevant again in the way that you're nostalgic for, probably, and they existed, you could be 100% happy at On3, excited about what we're building at this site. I mean, what Shannon and the fellows are doing to.
It's a Penn State cover, by the way.
It is a Penn State cover.
It's Miles Sanders scoring in overtime against Appalachian State.
But what I'm saying is that you still are never going to be able to rewire or reroute your past. Like, what's special to you and what you remain fond of and what helped mold you is always going to be a part of your DNA.
Right.
And I think that even if SI still existed, you might not leave. But if there was a job opening there, like, you can't pretend like it wouldn't like pull you. So, like, I thought that this was a great answer. I think that Matt Rhule is a genuine person. And I think that it's almost it is refreshing to hear somebody at least acknowledge why people are connecting you to that place.
Yeah.
So, and I also agree with him about Nebraska. If he does what James Franklin did at Nebraska, he's a hero. If he goes to Penn State and does what James Franklin did, he's fired.
Correct.
So, like,
if he does what Matt Rhule's done at Nebraska at Penn State, he's fired.
Yeah. So, like, there is a difference there. And obviously, coaches, want to compete at the highest level. But I actually believe that Nebraska could have a similar ceiling in today's game as Penn State does without all the added pressure of, doing it.
Yeah, the runway is longer at Nebraska than it is at Penn State right now.
And things are going well.
They're going very well. I mean,
the
win against Maryland was huge for them.
The thing that I've never had to face in my life, and I know it would be powerful. I don't know if you have an experience, but when you are a head coach of a program, you are the captain. You are an architect of what is happening there, and that is a project.
Yeah.
Boiling it down to the base nuts of what it is. And he has labored over the Nebraska job to a point now where they could conceivably be in the Big Ten championship as soon as this year. So even though you have pull to another place or another place that's special to you is calling, in my life, I've never had to choose what project you're in the middle of right now and is going well and starting another project.
Right.
Like when we were at the Athletic, you and I both joined the Athletic very early on. But I think I both say that we take great pride in helping build what that place eventually became and ultimately sold for.
But when I left
asked to leave in the middle of it.
When I left, it was a case of I had a good job, but I was really excited about what we were doing here. And
you might not have left if we were in the middle of building it still. Like that's the thing. Like it was a completed project. Now it's still a wonderful place and a great place to read stuff. But like the building aspect of it was complete when we left. I don't know what it would be like to leave.
And this
can
be a monster. Where we are now can be an absolute monster. And that was my idea when I came. And it's interesting because you're probably thinking, if we're going to connect this to Matt Rhule, Penn State could be the monster. I'm saying Nebraska can be the monster.
Yeah, I think Penn State is more like the Athletic than On3. Like Nebraska's more like On3.
They're right.
It's
Which is
new.
weird because Nebraska, is an old line, old school, highly successful program. But in
that doesn't
this,
mean in the phase of his life at the
right,
moment.
and in this era, they're trying to come back. They're trying to build back up into something where they are nationally relevant again. Penn State is nationally relevant already. Nebraska is trying to get there. Nebraska, by the way, they are a 9.5-point favorite at Minnesota on Friday.
I mean,
That's
the thing that you could say about Nebraska
interesting.
Too, is that you're seeing the improvement in the spreads.
It's Friday night. They play at Nebraska or at Minnesota, but they are a 9.5-point favorite against the Golden Gophers, and that is a testament to people seeing and believing what Matt Rhule is doing there.
It's a testament to the production of what's already happened.
Yeah.
So, we don't know. I'm not saying that he won't leave, but there's reason to believe that he could. So, or maybe will.
That he could stay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be fascinating to watch.
And it's not 100% guarantee that he will be offered the job too,
right.
which is another,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he won't.
The Penn State job is probably going to be the best job this cycle. And I say that as a graduate of the University of Florida. Like, I think if you ask coaches, Florida or Penn State, the Penn State job is maybe even a little bit more desirable than the Florida job. So I think it's probably going to be the number one job.
That's
in
an
the
entire
cycle.
episode, though.
Yeah,
diving into whatever that was.
No, I think both of them can be good, but I think if we're trying to rank them, the Penn State job may be the number one job. So
you want to just do that for 3 seconds and explain why you think that?
I just think they're further along, and there's less resistance in their league. Because in the SEC, there's so many more teams to climb over. Penn State has to climb over Ohio State and Oregon right now. If you hire the right coach, you have to climb over Ohio State and Oregon.
Yeah,
and Indiana,
also
I
like
guess.
Climbing 80% of Mount Everest and then saying you got to do the most difficult part. And by the way, that bridge that you have to cross
would you rather have that or Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Texas A&M?
Honestly, I think I would rather do the manageable parts too, because you get credit for doing the manageable parts.
It's not that manageable. It's very hard either way. So I'll take the 2 I got to climb over versus the 7 I got to climb over.
Just remind me to never climb Mount Everest with you.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever climb Mount Everest.
I don't understand the appeal of it.
I'm not worried about you. More people die on the descent than on the
It's true.
ascent.
It's electric.
All right. It's not electric. It's
I'm just saying,
terrible.
it's terrifying.
All right.
But I don't understand these people.
Why they do it?
Yeah. I don't know.
To challenge themselves. I don't think I've ever wanted to challenge myself that much, but God bless them if they do.
People who do the rock climbing, the free basing with no restraint.
It's insane.
Why would
that's not free basing, but free basing is a way to take cocaine.
Oh.
So
what is it called?
Free climbing.
Free climbing.
Yeah.
Well, how do you what's a free
Richard
base?
Pryor once set himself on fire free basing. I can tell
Okay,
you
well,
that.
after this, you'll have to Google and explain to me. I thought there was one way to take cocaine, and it involves putting it up your nose. But
So,
sorry, guys.
this is the show, everybody.
Is this not what you wanted when I got hired? I don't know.
This is what you want,
yeah,
as Ari would
you
say.
want me to stop being me? Like I don't know
what you want.
What is the process of that? I don't know.
Oh my God! All right, wait. Listen, I'm going to go to another Megaboard topic right now.
Wouldn't you use the rope if it's available?
I would use the rope.
What do you gain
I
from?
think you use the rope. Also, when you climb Mount Everest, you hire the Sherpa. That's like getting the VIP guide at Disney World that allows you to skip all the lines. I guess you're achieving something by climbing Mount Everest, but the Sherpa who's already done it 10 times, they're so much better than you at it.
Okay, so the Sherpa's entire existence is to guide people up the most difficult climb in the history of the world?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're just experts at it. They just keep doing it over and over again.
That's another job I don't understand. Next topic.
All right. We'll be back with a few more juicy Megaboard topics, but before that, we're going to talk to USF head coach Alex Golesh. Third-year coach there, remember, was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee. Did a pretty good job the first 2 years, but this is his best team by far. Brian Brown, the quarterback, has been fantastic. Golesh has the Bulls believing. They just routed North Texas in Denton last week, and they're in a very tough race in the American, but obviously USF has that win against Florida under its belt. They've played against Miami. That one did not go as well, but they have a very, very good chance of competing for the American title, which means they have a very good chance of competing for a berth in the college football playoff. Before we get to Alex Golesh, I want to tell you about Huel, the Huel Black Edition. Fantastic meal replacement, 40 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, everything you need. And you throw the powder in the shaker bottle, you fill it up, you shake it, and you have a meal right there. Huel is the world's #1 complete nutrition. If you go to Huel.com, that's HUEL.com, use the promo code STAPLES15. You'll get 15% off your first purchase of $75 or more, plus a free gift. You can also check out Huel Daily Greens. This is an awesome little can right here. Basically, it's got everything you need to start your day. It's got 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. It's got adaptogens, lion's mane mushroom, 4 grams of fiber, electrolytes, and antioxidants. That's a great way to start your day. Or if you need a breakfast on the go, lunch on the go, that Huel Black Edition is the way to go. So Huel.com, #1 complete nutrition in the world. Use the code STAPLES15 for 15% off your first purchase of $75 or more. And now it is time to talk to USF coach Alex Golesh, one of the hottest coaches in America. All right, Alex Golesh, coming off a big win against North Texas, having a great season at USF so far. Alex, I want to ask you something about something you said the other night after the North Texas game, because you guys had some mistakes in the first quarter, some fumbles and turnovers. And you said there was never a here we go again moment. And, I think about the first couple of years you were there, there were some times when things would happen and the team couldn't recover. And this time the recovery was instant, that everybody just kind of moved on to the next play. How do you get your team to understand that mindset?
Yeah, I think it just takes time, to be honest with you. And this is my 5th time being a part, or in this case, leading it, coming in a program that wasn't having recent success. I think if I've learned anything through each of those stops is year one. I mean, they're different players, they're different places, the competition's different, but I feel like it's been the same every single time. There's this attitude of, man, it's going to happen to us again. Man, here we go. And I think it takes experience, it takes time to go through those moments over and over again to be able to actually overcome them. You practice it, you preach and sell and talk and teach this next play mentality, but ultimately it is something the guys got to believe, and the only way that they truly believe it is by going through it. I think it's like anything in life. Until you've done it, you've gone through it, you can teach your kids to learn from other people, and we certainly try. But I think until they've been there before, it's really, really hard to mimic it in any sort of practice or meeting setting. I think when you truly believe that your process is right, I think when you truly believe that your prep is elite, then you tend to, in tough moments, say, man, the next play is the play that's going to take us right back into the momentum swing that we're looking for. And for the first time, at least in my time here, it's been consistently that way. And we've had some close games and some tough moments through some games early on in the season that I think that we overcame. And now they have this true proof of concept that there is no here we go moment, man. We just got to go play the next play and somebody will make something happen.
Alex, as I'm sure you're aware, going into the North Texas game, that was going to be a pretty tough environment. A lot of people, envisioned that North Texas was going to, have a real chance to win the game. But as that game went on, it felt like your team's athletic ability separated in a way that was, almost felt like a have and have not situation. When you are building a program and you're around the players and in that conference, it's a highly competitive conference with a lot of teams who are vying for a playoff spot. When does it occur to you that you guys might have an caliber of athlete on your team that separates you from your peers?
Yeah, I think we've been kind of building towards this moment. We've got a ton of older guys. We got 31 seniors on the team. Right now, our best players, or at least guys that are playing their best, are also the same guys that have worked the hardest, are also the same guys that have invested the most and in turn have become our best leaders. And when your best leaders are also your best players, you create this culture of true real confidence, I guess would be ultimately what I think these guys are playing with right now. From a physical standpoint, it's we've recruited obviously to a certain system on both sides of the ball, and the continuity within the staff has been awesome in terms of we've been here for 3 seasons. We've had the same coordinators for the most part. It's been the same coaches across the board. So you've been able to have consistency in recruiting, and we've recruited really, really well here. And I think in turn, we've developed even better than we've recruited. And so what's happened is there's real competition at every spot. There's some young guys that are playing, and really a ton of young guys keep stepping up every week and are competing and playing. And these older guys have raised their level of play to where we look like a legitimate football team right now. And that's physically, but to be honest with you, what we talked about initially, the mental side of it, these guys think they can play with anybody in the country, and there have been games where we've had to, and we've come out on the positive side of that. On the flip, we've also had we sitting there at 2-0 and go down to Miami and play well for a half, and then it gets away from us. So you talk about a humbling moment where it's like, man, you feel like you got to a point, but you're playing one of the top teams in the entire country, and you're like, man, we're not there yet. So you continuously are working towards getting to that level.
So when you go to Gainesville and you win a game, is how much proof of concept is that? Or do you just have to flush that and say, hey, look, Miami's next. The American is going to bring all these different challenges. Do you get to savor that at all? Does that build confidence, or is that something that you have to tell your players, hey, let's enjoy it, but it's over?
I think we tried to enjoy it. I think for our program to go to Gainesville, regardless of outcome, the experience of competing at a high level all the way through for 4 quarters was, I think, what I was proudest of most in terms of the ups and the downs and throughout that game, and then the ability to find a way to win was like the bonus part of that. I think we went into that game and our kids truly believed they were going to go win that game. And we've played tough. My first 2 years here, we played in some really, really tough environments, and we came up short in Tuscaloosa a year ago, down, I want to say 5 with 6 minutes left in the game, in a position to go score again, and it got away from us. And again, I think mature teams, I think teams that have guys that understand and are bought into the program, they learn from those moments. And so we go into the year and play Boise week 1 and end up going to Gainesville week 2. I think our guys truly believed they were going to win. And the ebbs and flows of that game, and then being able to go finish it, that you walk away from that. You enjoy it that night. That was a big win for not just our program, but for this university, the alumni base. I think so. This state is awesome in terms of the football fandom in the state of Florida is incredible, and so split. And I think that's what makes these games so big. But there's a lot. You come back to Tampa, and there's certainly a lot of Florida alums here. There's a lot of Florida fans all over the place. But you feel like, all right, we can go in and go continue to recruit the level we need to recruit, and say, man, like we did that. So if that's what you're looking for, is to be able to go play high level football, like we did it. We've been there. We've done that. It certainly helps proof of concept wise as well. But you turn around, and for us that week, I mean, you got back Saturday night, and Sunday morning you're starting on prep for Miami, and so you don't enjoy it just a whole lot. I think it's more of a reflection moment at the end of the year where you kind of look back and you say, man, like the way this thing started, it certainly gave us the confidence we needed to go through the rest of the year. And I think more important than a week 2 game in Gainesville is going to be how we go finish this thing.
When you are in the national spotlight in a way that the program wouldn't have been able to a few years ago, just based on the new playoff system, how much easier is it to build a program, and how much easier is it to get people to lock in and look at the bigger picture?
Well, I think coming here for me 2.5 years ago, that was probably as big of a piece to saying, all right, like this the gap in this group of five and power four thing publicly and in the media. And I was at UCF in 2020, so it wasn't that long ago that this gap wasn't super wide. But I think the selling point to me, and I was convinced that we have a clear path to get to the playoff. I really believe that the champion of this conference should have as good a chance as anybody to go get into the playoff. A year ago, Boise had an incredible year and deservingly so got into the playoff. And I think as these programs in our conference have elevated their investment into the programs, as the coaching in this conference has gotten better and better, like there's absolutely no reason, because of the way these programs are getting funded in our conference, that the winner shouldn't come out of here. And now 3 years in, I'm more convinced than ever that the champion of this league is going to get a chance to go to the playoff. And that comes up a lot. I think Cincinnati kind of set the tone. They made it into a 14 playoff, however long that was, I guess 5 years ago now. But they did it because they played high-end competition early in the year, and it set them up to get ranked, and they were able to work into the top four. Now it should be an easier path, as long as you're scheduling good teams at the beginning of the season to go through your conference, which now has really high-level teams in it as well, that if you win this thing, you got a clear path. So in recruiting, as you look at who we're recruiting against, that's always the punchline at the end is like, man, don't you want to play Power 4 football? And we, for the 2.5 years we've been here, have been able to point to something in this program that's not Power 4. How our guys live, how our guys eat, how our guys train, how they sleep, who we play non-conference. Like there's nothing not Power 4 about this, on top of the facilities. And side note, you're in Tampa, so let's keep plugging through it, and you get to a point where, well, I want to compete at the highest level. Well, you got a chance to do that here. And certainly in that regard, it's not a sales pitch, it's just the truth. You've got as clear a path to get to the playoff as any other league here.
So how many people come into your office and see that the framed thing behind you and know that that's the chemical symbol for iron?
What?
Probably,
You didn't know that, Ari? Look behind him, right there, the FE.
Oh, I thought you were talking with the USF logo. I'm like, what?
I would say probably 4.
Total.
Our director of play, Coach Jones, who was my high school coach, was also my science teacher in high school. So he's the one that framed that and put that up. But him and probably the other 3 people in this building that didn't cheat on their camera.
And that's just like the most Andy Staples thing to know in the world. So,
well, yeah, and whether you two or not cheated or actually learned your periodic table of elements or not would be another show.
I have a sophomore in high school who's in chemistry now, so I have no choice.
And I cheated.
Oh, I got to ask you about, you mentioned some of the older guys, but then you've got young guys coming in, getting confidence. So I want to ask you about one of your freshmen. So Christian Neptune is one of your receivers. You had him throw a touchdown pass the other night on a double pass. And you mentioned after the game that you had tryouts during fall camp to see who could throw the double passes. Is that the most fun day of fall camp ever?
It's one of my favorite post-fall camp days, because offensive guys, defensive guys can come over too, and it's single elimination, and we start with just pitching it out, a tag on the perimeter, and it's a quick catch and throw. And our young coaches are the receivers, trying to save legs, and so it gets a little workout in. And then we move on to jet sweep to a throw. Then we move on to a backwards toss to a throw. And then move on to a bubble target, like a target throw or catch to a throw. And it truly is single elimination until you get to 3. And the defensive guys love it, because it's like that's their one opportunity to go shine, to throw a ball. For me, I love it because I can individually go you in, and then you get left with these 3 guys, and sometimes 4.
So did Christian basically have to go through the NCAA tournament of throwing Like
He did.
rounds.
He made it all the way through, and I think at that point he was like, "What in the hell is going on right now?" But he certainly is glad it worked out for him. But it's, you know what, you never know. The guys that play quarterback in high school, which is a bunch of them, right? We got a tight end that played quarterback in high school. We got a D lineman that played quarterback in high school. There's a bunch of guys that played quarterback. Playing quarterback in high school doesn't mean you can throw either. So
Yeah.
certainly, but we kind of have a bag of tricks in that regard, and we kind of pull from it. And those guys know they'll get an opportunity at some point if it works out. So it's super fun though.
Alex, at the end of every guest appearance, we ask our wonderful guests the simple question. We didn't prep you on it, so sorry in advance. We ask, what is your rule for life? Now, you can do it the football way, which is, a coach speak term, or you can do it the fun way. For instance, my rule for life is never eat at a restaurant that specializes in multiple types of cuisine. Andy's is don't skip leg day. What is it?
No, it's never complain about free food, never complain about free beer, and never skip leg day. And Tim Skipper, the UCLA coach, we had him on yesterday, and he said never eat Popeyes outside of Louisiana, which was a new one for me.
And we had one guest once say never pick on somebody with a large belt buckle. I don't know if you have a rule for life. It could be serious, it could be playful, but we'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, really, really pretty simple. If it's free, give me 3.
Tremendous.
I actually learned that a long time ago from Steve Klinkscale, who's now the DB coach of the Chargers. But Klink and I were together at Toledo and at Illinois, and every time he'd be like, man, ordering whatever Chipotle, be like, it's free, give me 3, dog. I thought, man, what a way to live life. And so I guess the context matters there, but I think it's a great way to live life. If it's free, give me 3, and just keep taking free stuff until offensively the philosophy is exactly the same.
I was gonna say, the offense you run, the free, you hit a big pass, light box, tempo up, handoff, 6 free yards every time.
That's right.
Yeah, coach got me with the Chipotle thing, but football.
Well, what's free at Chipotle is cilantro. So three cups of cilantro. Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you so much
for being here, Coach.
I appreciate y'all having me on, man.
USF has Florida Atlantic this week. If you're in Tampa, you want to catch the Bulls, hop on Gametime. Type in USF football. You'll find the ticket right there. Or maybe you want to go to the other big games of the weekend. You could go to Tuscaloosa for Tennessee, Alabama. You could go up to Vanderbilt, little LSU Vandy. That's a pretty pricey ticket for a Vandy game because they're very excited about it. A little more pricey if you want to go to Tuscaloosa, Tennessee, Alabama. And we're going to talk about the Crimson Tide next. But download that Gametime app. Redeem the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. And they have tickets for everything. You can look and see exactly where you'll be sitting. In most cases, you will see a photo of the stadium from the vantage point of your seat. Then you will see a dollar figure. That is the dollar figure you will pay. They will not throw a bunch of hidden charges on it once you hit checkout. The price you see is the price you pay. So go to Gametime, find the game you want, find the concert you want, find the comedy show you want. Doesn't matter if it's last minute. They have tickets to everything. Use the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Gametime. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, let's get back into the boards. It is a Megaboard Wednesday and the Bama Online Roundtable. Some very interesting discussion. Obviously, they're very happy right now in Tuscaloosa because Alabama has won 3 big games in a row. Alabama beat Georgia. They beat Vanderbilt. They went on the road and beat Missouri. Now they got Tennessee coming to Tuscaloosa, and the Crimson Tide fans are feeling great about Kalen DeBoer. They obviously were not pleased with him last year when Alabama lost 3 games in the regular season and then lost the bowl game. Tennessee was one of those regular season games they lost up at Neyland Stadium. But I think after the Florida State loss this year, where, again, there was more concern, I think Alabama fans have settled in and started to like Kalen DeBoer a lot more. They obviously like the way his team is playing, but this is a guy who he's not Nick Saban. He's never pretended he's Nick Saban. His personality is very different, but it's a very likable personality once his team starts winning. And I think Alabama fans are starting to really enjoy the way Kalen DeBoer coaches when he's got a good team and he knows how to get the most out of it. So that provided a very interesting discussion with me and Ari about where Alabama fans are at with Kalen DeBoer right now, where Kalen DeBoer is with Alabama. And yeah, everybody's feeling pretty good about it. The black hoodie of death, it's marching on. How about being the guy who replaced Nick Saban? So Kalen DeBoer's demeanor. This is a thread from the Bama Online message board. Trailer Park Boys is the one who posted it. Watching him on his press conference, even during games, he's done a complete 180 from last year. This is a completely different dude, and I effing love it. The black hoodie of death makes all the difference, Ari.
What's the difference in demeanor? He's more fired up on the sideline now?
It seems like he's just having more fun. He's more relaxed. I mean,
Isn't that what happens when you're winning?
it does. And look, I say this fully understanding that if some 19-year-old drops a pass and they lose to Tennessee, that all of this goes away. And it's I knew he couldn't replace him. It's that again. But right now, everything's sunshine and lollipops.
It is sunshine and lollipops. His attire is great. His demeanor is great. He's become more handsome somehow. He's a nice guy, but he's a killer. There's not a single bad thing that you could say about Kalen DeBoer right now. But if they lose Saturday, he's a scumbag again. It's incredible. I don't know.
This is college football. This is why we love it, but it's also
psychotic.
Yeah.
In a good way.
So
that's what is so great about the Megaboard too, because you can feel the actual emotions of the people living through it, and you understand why they feel the way that they do because they're so bought in and so hyped about the direction that their team is going in.
In that thread, a poster named FujiLaw3224 with a really insightful comment. Also, I think there's something to being even further removed in time from the Saban retirement, he writes. Or she writes, I don't know, he or she. The question is, slowly but surely becoming less, is DeBoer living up to the Saban standard, and more, how is DeBoer stacking up against his peers? This is a great thought. This is a great way to look at it, because DeBoer is stacking up very well against his peers. He's just beaten Kirby Smart. He's just beaten Eli Drinkwitz. Now he's got to go play Josh Heupel. He's beating the coaches we think are really good.
Well, the obvious question in response to that is do you talk about Nick Saban next time he loses? Like when do you let go of the Saban comparison?
Because it's Alabama.
Like how many?
It's going to be a
years?
long time. It's going to be a long time. I think he would have to win a national title or two before the Saban stuff goes away completely.
Yeah, the only way to heal the Saban stuff completely is to be your own accomplished.
And it doesn't even need to be really healed. It's not like Saban, like anything was taken away or Saban retired. It happens.
The only way to remove yourself from being compared to Saban is to fall back on the accomplishments that you had at that place.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yep. And so, like, the past few weeks have been pretty incredible. The way they're playing is pretty incredible. If he can keep this up, he has a really good chance of playing for the SEC title, of playing for the national title. I think we'll see what South Carolina is. We're going to watch them against Oklahoma this weekend. I think this game might be the end of the major slog. I think the Georgia, Vandy, Missouri, Tennessee, like if you go 4-0 in that stretch.
Yeah, not having to play LSU on the road is a big help.
That also, and we don't know what LSU is going to be at that point. Garrett Nussmeyer's hobbling around at the end of that game against South Carolina.
You know how it is, though. Even if LSU is hobbling, you don't want to play them on the road at night. So,
well, they beat it. Kalen DeBoer's already beaten them on the road at night.
You still don't want to do it. Yeah.
But if you can get through this stretch, you beat Tennessee, get through the stretch 4-0, man, you can beat anybody. You can do anything. So, and I think if they do win this game, like they've got a mulligan, they can lose another one, still make the playoff. I would feel very confident that Alabama is a playoff team, will wind up this season as a playoff team as long as they win this game.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident about them making the playoff even if they lose this game, to be honest. So
yeah, they can definitely run the table afterward.
Because I actually believe I made this offseason comment before the year started that I believe that a 9-3 team will make it, and I think that Alabama's resume is going to stack up quite nicely to the one that they had last year.
Yeah, if it's who'd you beat.
And they have the who'd you beat I mean, the 3 in a row they just got are going to be pretty sexy at the end of the year when we're having these discussions. So, beating Tennessee, I think, might actually punch their ticket. Barring a major fall apart, which I don't see.
But it would be nice to have that mulligan in your pocket.
Yeah.
So this you get Tennessee at home, but Black Hoodie of Death. I'm assuming. Hold on, let's check the Tuscaloosa weather for the weekend. I don't think it matters what the weather is. I think he's wearing the Black Hoodie of Death.
I also can't anticipate that it's going to be getting much warmer.
Yeah, but you're wearing
the different direction.
You're wearing the Black Hoodie of Death no matter what. It doesn't matter what the forecast says. Okay, high of 87, low of 62. It's a night game, so it will not be 87 anymore. It'll probably be in the low 80s or the high 70s. You know what that is, Ari?
It's hoodie weather.
Hoodie weather, baby. Because it's going to start in the high 70s and go down into the 60s as the game goes on. Hoodie weather, perfect hoodie weather. Alabama by 1 million. You picked Tennessee, didn't you? To cover.
I can't remember.
I think you picked Tennessee to cover. You know who I picked to cover?
The Tide?
Nothing but the Tide.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Perfect. Black Hoodie of Death weather means Kalen DeBoer is coming for you. He's coming for you. And they love you now. They love Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah.
Just don't lose.
Again.
Don't ever lose again.
Yeah.
Never. We got one more message board thread to dive into, and it involves Oklahoma. But before that, I want to tell you about Brunt Workwear. Durable, reliable workwear. Brunt's founder grew up blue collar, had a lot of friends that said, hey, I don't like where all these boot brands are going. Everybody's too worried about fashion, not worried enough about getting the job done. So Brunt makes boots that get the job done. They're comfortable all day. They can survive anything you throw at them. Durable, reliable workwear. BruntWorkwear.com. Get $10 off with the code ON3. I'm telling you right now, you can wear these boots all day. Your feet will love you for it. And also, they will hold up to whatever you've got to deal with during your workday. So, BruntWorkwear.com, $10 off with the code ON3. Now, a guy who's got to go to work this week, Brent Venables, was having a great year. Oklahoma loses his first game of the season to Texas in the Red River rivalry. The way Oklahoma lost is what gave Oklahoma fans a little bit of pause. And by a little bit of pause, I mean, if you look at the Sooner Scoop message boards, overwhelmingly negative regarding Brent Venables. Now, I will say, they haven't completely abandoned Brent Venables because there was a moment on Tuesday where Brent Venables said in his press conference, he was talking about Oklahoma, in the past, and the way the SEC schedule differs a little bit from when Oklahoma was in the Big 12. And he said something to the tune of, those years in the Big 12 where there was really only one game you were worried about losing. And obviously the distinction being in the SEC, it feels like every week you've got somebody that you're threatened by. Well, obviously the folks in the Big 12 at the Big 12 office did not take kindly to that statement. And they posted a tweet reminding everyone that Brent Venables was Oklahoma's head coach in its last 2 seasons in the Big 12, and that Oklahoma lost 8 Big 12 conference games during those 2 seasons. So it wasn't just one team you had to worry about losing to, Texas being the team. Now, I get the context of why Brent Venables said that. I get that Oklahoma absolutely dominated the Big 12 for the early part of this century, under Bob Stoops and then again under Lincoln Riley. I get that. I get that Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator for a lot of those years under Bob Stoops. That doesn't make the Big 12's response any less funny. That was a sick burn from the Big 12. And look, they're the jilted lover here. Like they got every right to fire back. And so the Oklahoma fans, though, they got really mad that all the rest of us were laughing at this. And so while they were busy just burying Brent Venables on their own message boards, they're saying, we can say that about our guy, but you can't say that about our guy. But let's get into what they're saying about their guy. Ari and I talked about one particular thread on the Sooner Scoop message board. And again, I'll point out, this is probably the nicest one I could find. Somebody who is on the other end of that spectrum, Ari, is Oklahoma's Brent Venables. Sooner Scoop message board. Here we go.
This could literally say anything.
This is somebody who was probably nominating Stephen Shen for the Nobel Peace Prize a few weeks ago. Who will replace Brent Venables? Curt Cignetti is 64, so can't imagine how he's going to work with a new AD coming in until possibly next May or June. Will a new AD want to take the job with Venables halfway out the door? You can't hire a new coach before the new AD. This may turn into a huge mess. Who would replace Cignetti? Dillingham? Oh boy.
Well,
That's Heartbreak Kid, by the way. I don't know if it's actual Shawn Michaels that sent that post, but that's
here's the
and by the way, I didn't pick the most extreme Sooner Scoop post. That's actually one of the tamer ones.
I wrote on Monday about what the James Franklin firing needs to do in terms of opening our eyes to what universities and administrators are willing to do in replacing coaches. And I went down the list of a few guys who, might not be out of the woods, and Brent Venables was on my list. So as negative of a post that is that like the feel good, everybody love everybody mentality that Oklahoma was illustrating earlier on in the year, he's not out of the woods.
Mm-mm.
And if you look at the remaining half of his schedule, which we've noted on this show 9,000 times, it is an absolute murderer's row of. There isn't a single team I don't think they play.
This is the easiest. This South Carolina team they're playing this weekend is the easiest team left on the schedule.
Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, Missouri, LSU, for those listening in podcast form, are the games remaining after South Carolina on Saturday. And I think we should ask each other this right now. How many games does he have to win out of these 6 to keep his job?
Oh my God. All right. So he's 5-1 right now.
Yep.
I think you need to be 8-4 or better.
I agree. I think he needs to win 3 of them. And now let me ask you the follow-up question, which is after what you saw against Texas in the Red River rivalry, how many games do you think he will win?
I think you win 3. I think as John Mateer gets healthier, that offense will get a little bit better. There were some things that John Mateer could have hit and didn't hit in that game. It's not all on the offensive line. It would be nice if they could run the ball. I still think they have a good defense. So I think they can go 3-3 in this stretch. I think it's possible, but you better do that. 2-4 and a 7-5 record. It's a very interesting question. And now the AD thing, they're looking for a new AD. Joe Castiglione is retiring. Randall Stevenson, the former AT&T CEO, is leading the search for the AD. We think it's going to be someone from outside the college sports industry. That's what we've heard, but we don't know exactly who it's going to be. I don't think you have to hire the AD before you hire the coach because, again, Randall Stevenson is the guy that Joe Harris, the president of Oklahoma, trusts to find the AD. Guess what? That's who would be looking for the coach too. Yeah. So I think if you're worried about alignment, I don't think you have to worry about alignment if they decided to do coach before AD. Sometimes they do coach and AD. I think Ole Miss did that when they hired Hugh Freeze and Ross Bjork in rapid succession, and Hugh Freeze was actually first. So
when you think about
it's been done before.
This 6-game stretch, 2-4, you're maybe fired. 3-3, you're okay. 4-2, you're in the playoff.
Exactly. 4-2, you could literally be in the playoff. JDuvie88, by the way, already got a hot board out. This is in this thread. I love everything about Cignetti except for how old he already is. Saban retired at 71. Cignetti is 64. I just don't think he's a long-term option. Guys, if you get 7 good years out of somebody, that's way more than you can ask for normally. But here's JDuvie88's short list in no particular order. Cignetti, Dan Lanning, Kenny Dillingham, Lane Kiffin, Urban Meyer. Wait. He adds one more at the bottom. Marcus Freeman. Oh, no, 2 more. Shane Beamer and Marcus Freeman.
And Josh Heupel he has there too.
Oh, Josh Heupel's there too. Sweet. Okay. You lose to Texas, it just all goes off the rails.
Yeah.
That fast.
Also, is every single hot board of any team that's made the playoff in the last 10 years the same 7 people?
Yes.
The same 7 people, 5 of which aren't leaving?
Yes. Yeah. Dan Lanning's not leaving, by the way.
Dan Lanning's not leaving. I don't know about Kenny Dillingham.
Urban Meyer's not coming. Urban Meyer, I think this is probably a different era of the sport that is not designed for Urban Meyer to be successful.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's Lane Kiffin. Maybe, I don't know, but this is the
Lane
same
Kiffin's
question.
The number one.
He's the number one candidate at Florida too that hasn't opened yet. So
Lane Kiffin's going to be
the Shane Beamer thing's crazy because it reminds me a little bit. So Bobby Bowden told me a story one time about when he was coaching early in his career at Florida State, they had a stretch where they played at LSU 5 years in a row. And so LSU, I think they'd either fired their coach or were going to fire their coach, and essentially through back channels offered Bobby Bowden the job. And he was about to go play them in Baton Rouge. And he tells his wife, Ann, if we lose to them, we're taking the LSU job because it means we can't win long-term here. If we beat them, I'm staying at Florida State. He beats them, they stay at Florida State. It's a really tragic situation. LSU hires a guy named Bo Ryan. He dies in a plane crash. But that changed the course of college football history, that one game. Could we have a game like that here? If South Carolina beats Oklahoma, does Shane Beamer just walk across to the other locker room?
Well, I don't know.
Shane Beamer, by the way, was the backup option when Brent Venables was hired.
How do South Carolina fans feel about Shane Beamer? Is he an untouchable to them, or are they frustrated? I don't know.
Oh, they're frustrated. Like there's rumors that he would go to his alma mater, Virginia Tech, to reset the clock. I don't think that would be a smart idea because South Carolina would owe you so much if they fired you. I would ride it out there, see if I could get better at South Carolina or take their money.
Yeah. So very interesting hot board. You can just cut and paste that and put it as every other hot board for the 5 jobs that are going to be opening in the next few months, and you can go from there. But I think that there's probably a bigger discussion too on where Oklahoma belongs on the like, is Oklahoma a better job than Florida? I think that's a fascinating discussion.
Oh, we'll be
ranking these jobs when they start coming over.
Yeah, is Oklahoma a better job than Florida? A better job than Auburn? Where does it stack up to Penn State?
Yeah.
Yes. And again, we say this, and we're doing this somewhat tongue in cheek because this is Megaboard Wednesday. So we are going where the boards take us, and this is where the boards took us. Because again, like I said, I didn't pick the most unhinged Sooner Scoop post. There are more of those,
but I think it is a pretty reactionary one. But I don't think that it's separated or from the reality of the situation.
Yeah, the reality of the situation is in 2 months, Brent Venables could be headed to the playoff as Oklahoma's head coach or out of a job. That is the reality of the situation, and that is how weird the next few weeks could be.
They have gotten better.
They definitely have gotten better.
That's the thing. Like,
definitely
are a better team than they were last year.
Yeah.
So, like, how much does that matter? And I wrote the column at the beginning. Here's the thing. I wrote a column at the beginning of the year, and I shared it with people on Sooner Scoop, and they're like, "Yeah, this could have been written by AI." And I got all these things of like, "Yeah, we know that the schedule's hard." All that
AI
stuff.
doesn't think like REI. I promise you that.
The thing that I don't know is that, like, we are going to be in a situation where you have to weigh at Oklahoma the value and the importance of improvement while also grading it through the appropriate rubric. Like, because you don't know how bad it actually is when you're losing to really good teams against a really hard schedule. So,
right.
Like,
and we also need to see what Texas does the rest of the way. Like, a lot of the view of Brent Venables right now is Oklahoma just lost to Texas right after Texas lost to Florida. And I think that colors the discussion quite a bit.
Absolutely. So, it's a very complex situation. And my hope for him and Oklahoma fans is that he just wins games.
Yeah, just keep winning, and it's not an issue. But again, the reaction by the boards tells me that this is not an out of the woods situation. That this meat grinder of a schedule is going to determine what happens next, and it is a brutal schedule. They go to South Carolina this weekend. That is an early game. We could be having a very different discussion Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
One way or the other. Like, John Mateer balls out. It's like, oh, everything's fine. South Carolina does to Oklahoma what they did to him last year, which seems unlikely given what we've seen from South Carolina this year. But what if they did? Because Williams-Rice seems to get like one team a year.
Yeah.
I don't know that the 12:45 Eastern kickoff is one of those times when Williams-Rice is going to get you. But you never know. Like, somebody walks into there every year and is just gobsmacked. And I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why it happens that particular way, but tends to be what happens. So we will find out. Is Oklahoma back on track, or do we have to have further discussions about this? We'll find out on Saturday. We will see what happens when Oklahoma faces South Carolina. South Carolina made a little change on its coaching staff. Fired the offensive line coach, Sean Elliott. former South Carolina offensive line coach under Steve Spurrier, former Georgia State head coach, was working as an analyst there. He's now taken over the offensive line. I know they've got a bunch of injuries too, so I don't know exactly how big of a difference that's going to make for South Carolina, but they are trying to do anything they can because they are staring down the barrel of a very difficult end of the schedule, just like Oklahoma is. So something's got to give. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose. And we will find out what happens when those two play at Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a fun week. We still have a lot more to talk about. And I want you to help us figure out what we're going to talk about. Tomorrow is a Thursday. That, of course, means it's a Dear Andy and Dear Ari Day. We'd love to hear from you. You know how to find us. It's Andy_Staples and at Ari Wasserman on social media. It's also AndyStaplesOn3@gmail.com if you'd like to send me an email. Ari.Wasserman@on3.com if you'd like to send Ari an email. We've got a couple great questions already, but I'm looking for a few more because this is one of the newsiest, juiciest weeks I can remember in college football in the last 4 or 5 years. And I think there's so many topics that we really sink our teeth into, but I want to get your take on them. I want to get your spin on them. If you've been watching and listening the last few days, you know the listeners, viewers, commenters have been really active and have really helped Ari and I figure out our perspective on some of these things. And I think that's a lot of fun. I go back to Vance in the chat on Saturday night, Vance Williams explaining, why maybe Penn State can look at Texas A&M and say, we want what Mike Elko's doing now, and that's why we're going to do a big buyout like they did. And it's very interesting when you tweak that perspective just a little bit, because it helped me kind of contextualize what was going on with James Franklin. And so, any questions you have about jobs that are open, jobs that may open, there's a lot of coaches on the hot seat. We did the 5 stages of hot seat grief on Tuesday's show. Hit us with an email. Hit us with a comment on social media. Hit us with a question. And we may answer that question on tomorrow's show. And we will talk to you on Thursday.